Shalom to you all. I don't know what happened. The live broadcast was disconnected. And here I am one more time trying to, we'll start from the beginning, a study about the four species. So I hope you all join us back again. I don't know what happened to the first, the reception was pretty bad. But here we are once again. Here I am with you once again from my Succa in Jerusalem. And we're talking about the species of Succot. So we will go back and what we said before, and I'm reading the verses from Leviticus 23. But on the 15th day of the 7th month, those of you joined, I just started the whole program once again. There was a disconnecting, and we're starting from the beginning. Verse 39, on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you gather in the produce of the land, you shall celebrate the festival of the Lord for a 7-day period. First day be a rest day, the 8th day be a rest day. And you should take for yourself on the first day the fruit of the hadar tree, date palm fronds, a branch of the braided tree, and the willow of the brook. So it says a fruit of the hadar tree, which we call an etrog. It says shalom di jumbo. It says the braided tree. It says the palm frond, and the braided tree, and the willow, and these three, it says and meaning they're connected, and we'll talk about that in a second. And you shall celebrate it on the time when you're celebrating the gathering in of the produce of your fruit, the gathering of the fruit of the produce of your land. And shalom, Jimmy, shalom, all of you for coming back. And I want to apologize that the broadcast was disconnected. I'm here once again trying to talk about this story, and it talks about disconnecting. You'll see in a second what it talks about disconnecting, and just it's so wonderful that we're all here celebrating in my Sukkah. As I said, you can see my bed is behind me, the ceiling of the Sukkah is above us, all the decorations that my grandchildren prepared, they're all here with us, and the mess is also here, so I really can feel at home. And what's most important, we have the picture of the temple right behind me with the offering in the service in the temple. Anyway, so we said again, we spoke about the Sukkah, so we're not going to speak about the Sukkah. And yeah, Jimmy, we wish you were here with us in Jerusalem. We're all waiting for you all, and Shalom, Victoria. And it's wonderful that you're all with us. And again, so I'm just going to start teaching what we started from the beginning, and we're going to try to understand what is the holiday, what is this celebration, what are we celebrating when we're bringing all these four species? What is it teaching us, and what are we supposed to understand and learn from it? So, but first thing I wanted to point out, I don't know if you people check in your translations. It's very important when you read the Bible to read the original Hebrew, because very often the translators miss out a tiny little thing. For instance, in this verse of Leviticus 23, verse 40, it says very carefully, it says you take a fruit from the hadar tree. It doesn't say and. It then says a palm frond, a branch of the braided tree, and willows of the brook. And these three, it says and. When it talks about the fruit, it does not say and. So we're talking about sort of a division between two sets. One set stands alone, and that's the fruit of the etrog, and the other three are together. It says and we'll talk about that in one moment. But before we go on to that, I want to understand the Torah is telling us that it's important to bring it when you celebrate the holiday of the harvesting, you're gathering in of the produce of your land. It's very important to understand this, because when it talks about the Sukkah, when it says you sit in the Sukkah, it doesn't emphasize that the Sukkah is connected to the gathering in of your produce. So here we see that this commandment, this obligation to take these four species, have something to do with the gathering in of the produce of our land. What is it all coming to teach us? And in order to really understand it, I want to point out one other thing. It doesn't say the names of the species. It doesn't say take a palm. It doesn't say take a date. It doesn't say take an apple. It says the part of the tree. It says a fruit from a hadar tree, a frond from the palm tree, a branch of the braided tree, and the willows of the brook, meaning the emphasis there is the origin of the willow. So we pay attention because it's very, very important. And I think that in order to understand this whole story, we have to try to learn at depth the idea of this very special commandment. The Torah categorized specifically and giving an exact description of what we take. It doesn't say a fruit, it says a fruit of the hadar tree. It always adds the part of the tree we're talking about. So let's start with the first one, which is a major one. Kapot tamarim, the frond, the palm fronds. What is the frond? What is the frond of the palm tree? The frond of the palm tree actually is a straight piece. As you can see, it's standing on it. You can see the whole thing. I'll make it a little further. Maybe you'll be able to see what we call the lulav. It has its branches coming out of it, but they're still closed. They're still not open yet. This eventually will develop into a trunk of a tree with all of the branches coming out of it. But this in itself is actually, when it's in this situation, it is actually the continuation of the trunk of the tree, and in itself it looks like a trunk by itself. It looks like a trunk of a tree. Eventually, when it grows, the opening it in itself will become the trunk of the tree. So the lulav is like the trunk of the tree. Now, what do we have together with the lulav? We have the different parts of the tree. What are the different parts of the tree? We have the branch. The braided tree, we take the branch. So we're actually connecting to this tree, the lulav, we're connecting branches. And we have the willow of the brook. And here, the willow, the emphasis is on the fact that it represents the connection of the tree, the branch to the tree, and the fact that it grows on water. Together with that, or aside from that, we have a fruit. We have a fruit, a very special fruit, a very beautiful fruit. So if we have the lulav, it looks like a tree, the branches and the connection to the water. What is happening when we take these species and we take them together and we bind them together? We see that here, the three that we usually take these, by the way, in our right hand, and the fruit in our left hand. We're actually looking at a new tree that was created here. We have a tree with a fruit and branches on it. What does that mean? It means that in a certain way, we are actually creating a new tree. We are creating a new tree. What does that mean? And I want to take you back to what the Torah connects the bringing of these four species to. Shalom from Switzerland, Bettina. The Torah connects these four species to the gathering in of all our fruit. What happens when you gather in your fruit? When the farmer gathers his fruit, he harvests all the fruit. What is the most important part of his harvest? The fruit. He is celebrating, he's enjoying the fruit. He is enjoying the crop, he's enjoying what he gathered. What happens to the tree and the branches? He forgot about them. They stay in the field. They are there in the field. The concept of the holiday of gathering in is we come and thank God for the fruit. But here there is a very major risk. There's a very major risk. You know what the risk is? The risk is that we will be so happy with the fruit and we will forget the source of the fruit. The risk of danger is that a person brings his fruit and he forgets that it's God who gave him the fruit. What happens is, when we take the fruit and connect it back to the tree, we're actually doing the opposite. We are actually announcing to the world that the fruit is not disconnected from the tree. And I want to understand, isn't the tree in itself just an instrument to create fruit? And the truth is, the Torah is trying to teach us that no, the tree in itself has a significance. When we take the 4 species and we remember that we are now celebrating the harvest, if we would be only celebrating the harvest, we would only take the fruit. We would only take the etrog. But the Torah is warning us. And he wants us not to disconnect the fruit from the tree. He wants us to remember that the fruit has roots, that the fruit comes from a tree. And a tree in itself is actually something that's connected to the land, and it drinks its water from the land. It is sustained from the land, but it actually is standing on its own. Not by accident does the Torah say that a man is like a tree, because we are connected to God and we produce fruit. So in a way, what we're actually saying is that just like a father, just like a mother, just like a parent are not something that's disconnected from the child, so exactly is the same thing with the tree. When the fruit, by the way, when it's standing by itself, it doesn't last for too long. The tree actually lasts for longer. The tree is eternal in a way. The fruit is the enjoying of a temporary enjoyment of the tree. Just like the father and the mother or the parent are not just an instrument to create fruit, they are a continuity, an eternity. And therefore, the tree is the thing that we tend to forget because we look and concentrate on the fruit. When the fruit loses its connection to the tree, it's actually concentrating on now and here, on the temporary, and not concentrating on the eternity. When we take the 4 species together, we are actually expressing and saying the tree is the most important. We're putting the tree in our right hand, the etrog, the fruit in our left hand, which is less important, and we're connecting them together, and we're saying we remember that the fruit comes from the tree, from the branch, and from the connection to the water that go into the tree and fill up the fruit. And this is the complete environment in which the fruit is created. Let's take a look for a second at a different portion of the Torah. When God creates the Torah, when God creates the world, God says to the world on the second day, God says, it's very interesting to see, on the third day, God says, there shall be, I'm reading in Genesis chapter 1, verse 11, and God said, let the earth sprout vegetation, seed yielding herbs, and fruit trees producing fruit according to its kind. Fruit trees. But when it happened, what does it say? And the earth gave forth vegetation and trees producing fruit. Not fruit trees producing fruit. Trees producing fruit. What did this cause? Now I want to take you to where the first sin in chapter 2, when Eve looks at the tree, she sees something. And what does she see? God says in verse 16, God commands the man, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat. It doesn't say of every fruit of every tree. Of every tree you may eat. Tree is eternity. But what happens when Eve eats? What does she say? She looks at the tree. I'm reading in Genesis chapter 3, and listen carefully. And the woman says to the snake, to the serpent, of the fruit of the trees of the garden we may eat, but the fruit of the tree in the midst of the garden said you shall not eat from it. And then it says the woman saw the tree was good for food. In chapter 1, God looks at the trees and looks at everything he created. He says he saw they are good. They are good, meaning this is their essence. They are good. She doesn't say that she sees the tree. She sees the fruit of the tree, and it is good to be eaten. It serves me for a temporary thing. And listen very carefully. The Torah is trying to teach us that a man and a fruit have to always remember the source, have to remember the creation. And by the way, when we look at the punishment of man and Eve, it's beautiful. Adam and Eve get two punishments. Adam says he has to work to see the produce. He has to sweat and see it produce. He has to work hard. And it's not simple, but a lot of effort. And the woman, she has a difficulty in bringing her children. The same concept. Children to a parent. Fruit to a tree. The tendency of man is very often today in the modern world, they say, let's concentrate on the children. Concentrating on the children means disconnecting them from the parent. When the Torah wants us to raise children, you want to bring good for the tree, don't concentrate on the fruit. Make the tree stronger, the fruit will be better. Make the parent stronger, the children will be better, blessed. This is the concept of the Torah. The Torah is teaching us. And here, when is it teaching us? When we're celebrating the harvest, when we're so happy with what we picked, all the fruit, God says, don't forget. The fruit is a temporary enjoyment, but the fruit has to always be connected to the tree. When we go to the temple with the tree and the fruit, we say we do not forget the source. We do not forget that we're referring to a family. The tree and the fruit are a family. So when we are sitting here in the Succah and understanding this concept, not forgetting the source of where it comes from, and remembering that the source of the blessing of the fruit comes from the tree, and the source of the blessing of a person comes from the parent. This is the concept of temple, and this is the concept of family. And it's so important. We're losing out for the world of individuality. We're losing out for the world of individuality, where people are always concentrating on the child, on the person, on the individual, and forgetting the concept of family. The concept of family is so important. This is the concept of family. Family is fruit and parent. Family is the concept, and that's why what we are doing in Amitzim as well, and that's what we're doing in Shalom Jerusalem. The source of mankind is from God. God created us, and we are there to not forget that He is the source of our blessing. That's what we're here for. And we have to remember the concept of family is so important. Yes, the individual has its importance also. The individual has its importance. But when he's connected to his family, or when the fruit goes ahead and develops its own tree. Yes, this fruit itself, we take the seed, we plant it, and it becomes a tree in itself. It brings light to the world. It brings life to the world. So this is the concept of the four species. The four species is reminding ourselves that when we are gathering the fruits and we are so happy, the fruits have a source. So I want to wish you all a wonderful, happy holiday. I'm sorry that the tape at the beginning was stopped and there wasn't very good reception. I hope you follow up with what we taught here today and understand that the idea of Succot, when we are praying for the new year of new rain and we're eating the fruits, we're always here to remember that the fruits have a source. The child have a parent. Even a family that went through a destruction of an orphaned family, we are here to bless and strengthen the father, strengthen the remaining parent, the remaining mother, or the remaining father, so that the source of blessing for the child should be the parent. And that's what Amitzim is about. That's what Shalom Jerusalem is all about. Shalom Jerusalem Foundation is about connecting us to our roots, to God, to the temple, to the place where God chose, and we're there for those, as we said yesterday, who don't have a place in the world, those who lost a parent. So shalom, and bless all of you. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, and please share our thoughts, and please partner with us at shalomjerusalem.org or at amitzim.com. I love you all. God bless you all from Jerusalem. Thank you so much.